Gama la kisho uchwepheshe ballistic ephendula umbuzo obubuziwe so.
And that question related to ballistic expertise, not so.
But that was in response to a question by Advocate Nshololo regarding the conduct of Lieutenant Colonel Mangena by collecting the firearm himself at Cleveland Police Station. And the witness then answered, in that way that, you can't make provision for each and every situation. That was the context in which he gave this, not in the context of ballistic evidence, as my learned friend seems to imply.
These words were uttered by a ballistic expert within the context of ballistic expertise, not so.
Namazwi la kisho uchwepheshe weze ballistic kukhulunywa ngeindaba eziphathelene nokuhlolwa kwenhlamvu ballistic kanjalo.
Yeah, but I cannot agree to that because ballistics has got different areas. So this answer was specific to a specific question that was asked.
Ngeke ngiphendule lapho ngoba uma sikhuluma ngeballistic kunento eziningi eziphathelene na lo mpendulo lena nginike ngiphendula umbuzo oqondile ebengibuzwa wona.
I'm coming there. I just wanted us to clear the path so that as we go along, we don't confuse issues. Do you understand?
Ngifuna nje ukuthi sizwane singakaqhubeki phambili ukuze singaxakani.
I understand, but the context is very important.
Yebo ngiyakuzwisisa kodwa ukuthi lo mbuzo ubuzwephi impendulo ipendule kusiphi isimo kusemqoka nalokho.
Surely the context was not within an aviation context. This was within a ballistic context.
Mr. MnisI's, please. This witness says when he uttered those words, they were with a particular reference and context. And the context, if I recall, is that it was being put to him regarding whether it is proper for exhibits to be booked by a policeman who subsequently does not go and register those exhibits at the center and just proceeds in examining them. Am I quoting you correct, sir?
That is correct, my lord.
Yes, so in that specific context about Mangani having gone to Cleveland Police Station and having taken the alleged firearm and the alleged 2 bullets and other bullets which were in a blue container, etc. And he signed for them there instead of collecting them at the reception center, according to Ms. Mshololo. And this is the context in which the colonel uttered those words. Specified, not any other thing. That is the context. It was about Mangani allegedly taking exhibits from Cleveland Police Station which were not bound up and continuing to examine them.
My lord, I said I'm coming there, but we're taking
Yeah,
it
but you're
step by
asking this
step.
witness about the words he used. And he is trying to say that is the context. So where are we going to?
I'm saying, my lord, I'm coming there. But for starters, we need to clear the path. May I then proceed?
Yeah.
Irrespective of the context that I'm forced to get into before I can get into it. Is this a philosophy, a creed or ethos that are shared by the ballistic forensic science laboratory in South Africa as a whole, or it is just your own thinking?
manje ke lokhu kuyindlela ni zimisele ngayiyona ethos esetshenziswayo yini lapha mhlambe ke asithi ke indlela yokucabanga yokubuka izinto lapha kwa ballistic.
My answer is based on ballistic South Africa.
Okay.
We have procedures in respect of the work that we do. As I have already explained, that there may be situations that fall outside that procedure.
Akunenqubo lesisenzisayo lapha emsebenzini khona ke izinto ezingenziwe ezingaphandle kwaleyo nqubo esisebenzisayo.
That may require a particular or a specific course of action to be taken.
Lapho ke kungadingeka ukuthi kube nendlela okwenziwa ngayo ukulandelela ukuthi lokho akukho kule nqubo esetshenziswayo.
That is what I said yesterday.
Yilo bengichaza zona.
Lieutenant Colonel, the question was a very simple one. Is this the philosophy of the Forensic Science Laboratory in South Africa, or this is your own thinking? It's just your own individual philosophy?
Lona umcabango wakho wena uwedwa noma ke umcabango wendlela okubhekwa ngayo abasenza kwa ballistic bonke.
I do not operate as an individual. I operate within the system of rules.
Angisebenzi ngedwa kodwa ngisebenza ngaphansi kwemithetho.
So in the context of that answer, what is the direct answer to my question?
Yini impendulo yakho kulombuzo wami?
The answer to your question is that we are rule bound, but there may be circumstances which are not provided for.
Yebo sinemithetho esibusayo kodwa ke kukhona ke izimo lapho ke lemithetho engafinyeleli kuzo.
Let's cut it very short. So this is a philosophy that is shared in the entire fraternity of the Forensic Science Laboratory, particularly the ballistic section thereof here in South Africa.
Should yona philosophy esetshenziswayo yini ngabasenza ngaphansi kwe-ballistic izolona?
That is not my words.
Akuyona amagama ami lawo.
Hayibo, Colonel. These words came from you. Were you representing the Forensic Science Laboratory when you said these words, or this was just your words, your own individual words?
Well, the witnesses already answered it.
And what was the answer? The state say the witnesses already answered, and what was the answer? What is the answer? Because you say those are not my words.
More than one time, Smolot,
What was the answer?
He's rule bound. He doesn't operate on his own. He's operate within the rules laid down by Ballistic South Africa.
I did not get the answer, my lord, because the witness is, it's simple. I'm asking him a very simple question, Lieutenant Colonel Serrero. You said these words within a particular context. For a moment, let us agree. You said them within a particular context because of a particular question. But the question that I'm asking you is, these words which you said in that particular context, do they represent the entire fraternity of the Forensic Science Laboratory in South Africa, the ballistic section thereof, or this is just your own individual answer? In other words, would Forensic Science Laboratory South Africa come here, the ballistic section, and say, yeah, no, we share the same sentiment in respect of that answer? Or they will say, no, not in our name. Simple as that.
Amagama uthe wakhiphe ngaphansi kwesimo esithize uphendula umbuzo othize. Kodwa kumbuzo wami ukuthi ke iyona yini indlela emele indlela okusetshenzwa ngayo kwa ngaphansi kwe-ballistic section yesi-National Forensic Laboratory. Uma abantu base-National Ballistic Section uma bengeza la base-National Forensic Laboratory beza la bazosho bathi le ndlela ekusetshenzwa ngayo le.
I'm not going to answer this question
Thank you.
with a yes or no. What I can say is that we are rule bound.
Engeke ngakwenza ukuthi ake ngiphendule ngithi yebo noma cha kodwa ngizosho ukuthi thina ke sisebenza ngaphansi kwemithetho.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. You will not answer this question. Thank you. Now, you said, you gave this answer or you uttered these words within a context of some exhibits which were fetched at Cleveland by Mangena, not so?
Phendule lo mbuzo njengoba usho ukuthi uphendule umbuzo emva kokuthi ubuzo umbuzo mayelana nokuthi uKenan Mangena wahamba yothatha imibukiso eCleveland. Anginjalo?
Yes, that was in relation to the question relating to the fetching of the firearm.
Yebo lokho kuhambelana nokulanda kwakhe isibhamu.
Thank you. Now, before we get there, is it correct that you said, in circumstances where an exhibit is brought to the Forensic Science Laboratory by a member from the local criminal record center, an investigating officer, or their agent, in a seal, not a seal, in a bag, the seal thereof that is broken, Forensic Science Laboratory of South Africa will not admit that exhibit, not so?
Awusho yena ukuthi makukhona ke okulethwa ovela kwa-CRC noma umseshi noma ke obamele eletha ngesikhwama ke esesivuliwe nina kwa-National Forensic Laboratory angeke niwamukele lo mbukiso?
Yes, ordinarily we will not accept it
Yebo ngendlela ejwayelekile angeke siyamukele
unless it is of a nature that it cannot be sealed.
ngaphandle kuma ukuthi ke ngalendlela ukuthi ke ayingeke ukwazi ukuthi sivalisiswe leso sikhwama
Like a bonnet of a motor vehicle, for example.
njengomhlambe ke sikhulume ngento enjengemoto ibonnet yemoto.
Thank you. A tire as well, as you said.
Nethaya njengoba ushilo.
That is correct.
Yebo.
And a door, as you said.
Nesicapha njengoba ushilo.
That is correct.
Yebo.
And many other objects which are of a big nature. For instance, a bicycle itself, a motor bicycle, even a car itself.
Nezinye ke izinto ezinkulu asithi ke bicycle noma isithuthu anginjalo.
That is correct.
Thank
Yebo
you.
njalo.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. Now, in the context of what you've just said, I gather that there are certain objects which, by regulation, the procedures and protocol from the Forensic Science Laboratory, when they are to be submitted to the laboratory, they need to be packed in sealed bags, not so?
Kodwa ke ngibona sengathi khona izinto ezifanele zifakwe esikhwameni ezivalisisiwe sealed bags uma ziyiswa e-National Forensic Laboratory akunjalo?
That is correct.
Yebo kunjalo.
What is the rationale for that? Why is that so? Why should those items that are capable of being packed into sealed bags, that they should be packed in sealed bags and the bags thereof should be sealed? Why is that necessary?
Yini ke isizathu sokuthi imibukiso le ifanele ifakwe esikhwameni esivalisisekayo siphinde sivalisiswe?
It's just to protect the integrity of the exhibit.
Hayi ukuthi ke ugcina ke ukuthi ungaguquguquleki kombukiso lo.
Now you'll have to explain. What do you mean the integrity of the exhibit?
Because uthini uma ukhuluma ngokungaguquguquleki kombukiso?
To make sure that
Now I'm going to request you to explain. You see, now you're free to explain.
Manje ke ngicela ukuthi ujule kule ncazelo ozoyiletha.
it's just to ensure that we don't have things which are added to that exhibit or subtracted from that exhibit.
okwenletha-ke isiqiniseko sokuthi angeke kube nokunganezezelwa noma kususwe kulowo mbukiso
or any tempering.
noma-ke kube nenye-ke indlela yokuguqula lo mbukiso ngaphakathi.
Thank you. Now, those are the reasons why those items that are capable of being packed in specific seal bags would not be accepted in an event that that protocol is not followed, not so.
Kusho ukuthi-ke uma kungenjalo lowo mbukiso lowo angeke wamukelwe, akunjalo?
That is correct.
Yebo kunjalo.
Thank you. Now, are there any specific exceptions to what you have just explained now? In respect of those items that are capable of being packed in specific seal bags?
Kukhona-ke yini okuvunyelwayo ukuthi kungalandeleli-ke le migomo?
I do not understand the question. I've already made examples of situations which may call for exceptions, but I may not be able to cover all of them.
Bengikuzwisisi-ke lo mbuzo ngoba bese ngichazile ukuthi iziphi izinto ezingeke zakwazi ukuthi silandele le mithetho le esisebenza ngayo. Angazi ukuthi
No, the question is very simple. It's very simple. We're now speaking about items that are capable of being packed in specific seal bags, which when submitted to the forensic science laboratory, they need, the seal of those seal bags need to be sealed before forensic science laboratory accept them. Otherwise, they will not be accepted. Now the question is there an exception to that rule?
Engibuzayo ukuthi khona izinto ezingabophezelwa ukuthi zilandelele le mithetho.
We do receive firearms that come to the forensic science laboratory for testing for the purpose of IDs.
Yebo siyazithola izibhamu ezilethwe lapha elaboratory ukuthi zizohlolwa.
And when they come, they are not sealed.
Masisa lapho-ke azilethwa ngesikhwama esibhalisisiwe.
And then I can make example
Yes.
with another case again.
Ngingenza-ke mhlambe isibonelo ngelinye icala.
Yes, proceed.
which was examined by Mr. Dave Peters, who was in this court.
Ukuthi khona kwahlolwa-ke ubaba uDave Peters so webekhona kule nkantolo.
Proceed.
Steel trommels of fire containing firearms were transported from Marikana, in the Marikana case.
Masikhuluma ngecala laseMarikana khona izibhamu ezazingekho esikhwameni.
They were conveyed to the lab in trommels and they were not sealed individually.
Zathwalwa-ke zifakwe kwitromela kusho ukuthi-ke yilesi sikhwama esenziwa ngensimbi kodwa-ke zazingabekiwe ngasinye esikhwameni sazo.
Yes.
So in that case, we didn't have the seals that reference is made to.
Thank you.
Manje ngalesi sikhathi-ke sasingenazo-ke iy'namba zokuvalisisa.
That is why I say there may be other situations that I might not be able to remember.
Yebo yikho ngisho ukuthi khona izimo engeke ngakwazi ukuzikhumbula.
Now, you're making reference to the Marikana incident. That could have involved more than 50 firearms, not so?
Masikhuluma-ke ngele icala laseMarikana sikhuluma ukuthi kwakuyibhamu ezingaphezulu kwama-50 akunjalo.
And actually, it has just been brought to my attention by my colleague, Mr. Ramusupeli, that that case involved more than 600 firearms.
Ngisanda kutshelwa ukuthi lelo cala lele lalinezibhamu ezingaphezulu kwamakhulu ayisithupha.
Whether it involves 600 or 1,000, it is an exception to the general rule. I'm just indicating an exception to the general rule.
Nanoma-ke ukuthi zaziyikhulu noma zaziyinkulungwane kodwa zikhombisa ukuthi-ke kwakusekuphunyiwe kule migomo le nemithetho elandelwayo.
Thank you. But you will not equate that situation or that incident where a single firearm is involved, not so?
Kodwa ngeke ukufanise lokho nalapho ke ekusetshenziswa lapho ke sikhuluma ngesibhamu esisodwa kunjani.
If I consider, because in this answer I'm going to be specific, not generic.
Kule mpendulo ngizoqonda ngqo angeke ngikhulume kabanzi.
Because Lieutenant Colonel Mangena's affidavit was brought to my attention yesterday.
Ngoba ke i-affidavit ka Colonel Mangena ngikhonjiswe yona izolo.
In his affidavit, he states the reason why he followed that particular course of action.
Kule affidavit yakhe uchazile ukuthi yini indaba enze ngalendlela enza ngayo.
Now, just before you proceed, which affidavit are you talking about?
Yiphi ke le affidavit okhuluma ngayo singaqhubeki?
I do not remember the exhibit number of that affidavit.
Angekho ngibuleka ukuthi inombolo yalowo mbukiso ithini.
No, but look, Lieutenant Colonel, the question that I've asked you was, you had referred to an incident at Marikane where Mr. Peterson had to go and collect and use a trommel. And he collected more than 600 firearms. Now that is an exception to the rule. It does not need any particular expertise to understand that that was an exception. But I'm specifically asking you, would you then say, in fact, the question that I asked you is, do you then realize that that example that you gave relating to 600 firearms is different from a case that involves only one firearm?
Umbuzo wami ukuthi njoba ke usubekile isibonelo sase Marikana la kunezibhamu ezi amakhulu ayisithupha. Uyabona yini ukuthi akekho ongaboni ukuthi yebo leso simo isimo esasingajwayelekile. Kodwa ke lapha sikhuluma ngesibhamu esisodwa awukwazi ukulinganisa lezi zinto ezimbili.
And has not even come.
Listen to the witness. This witness.
Yes, as a court please, Malala. The witness has already answered that. He said the number doesn't matter. It's about the principle.
But this witness in particular, I'm listening. He says he will be more specific. He won't now answer generic. He will be specific in the sense that yesterday he was shown the affidavit of Mangena. So you can tell us about that. Now you want to know which affidavit is that. Mangena made 3 or 5 affidavits, fine. But he is specific to a particular affidavit which he wants to extrapolate the example which he says is an exception. Am I being understandable?
No.
That is correct, my lord.
No, my lord, that is not what I'm asking. The simple question that I'm asking him, does he then realize that when a person is dealing with more than 600 firearms, which the general rule would normally be relaxed, is different from a situation where only one firearm is involved? I'm not asking him to go into Mr. Mangena's affidavit because I've not even started to talk about Mangena. I don't understand where Mangena's affidavit feature in my question. I'm still coming if I will ever get there. But now answer what I'm requesting you to give answers to. Answer the asked.
As a court precedent, that's where our objection comes in, that the witness has already answered it. He said it doesn't matter whether it's 1,000 firearms, the number doesn't matter. It's about the principle.
No, but me, I'm concerned about this witness. He's an experienced witness, 29 years or 27 years as a ballistic expert. He wants to respond to you, Mr. MnisI's.
Yes.
And you're trying to stop him.
I'm not stopping him.
Okay, just
I'm saying let him answer directly to my question, my lord. I'm not stopping him.
What you wanted to answer, you, about
Okay, no, it's fine.
Mangena's affidavit.
Mr. Ngube wants to see me, my lord.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you. Thank you, my lord. Lieutenant Colonel, just before we proceed on the issue of that tromble container, I've got instructions that, or it is being brought to my attention that even if that tromble is used, upon collection of those firearms, it gets locked and it gets sealed. In other words, they like a container, they're shipping containers. They just don't drive around willy-nilly without them having been locked and sealed properly. Those are the instructions that have been given to. In other words, upon collection, I see the court is I don't know whether it's
because this is direct evidence. I hope we shall hear it later. That they are sealed. Those 600 plus, they were sealed. Maybe we shall hear it later about that. And not transported willy-nilly.
Yes, my lord.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We fortunately, the expert that is involved, our expert, was the person that was involved.
That's why I say we
Yes.
shall hear, because I listened, it
Yes.
says Dick.
Yes,
Where
ma'am.
is it, Dick? The expert, who was the name?
Dave Peters.
Dave is the one who
Yes.
connected them. That's why
Yes.
I say he will tell us, of course.
Yes, that is the information that I'm requested to bring across you. But back to my question. There's a difference between 600 firearms and one firearm, not so?
Umubuzo wami kuwena uthi kukhona umehluko khona phakathi kwezibhamu ezingamakhulu ayisithupha nesibhamu esisodwa.
That is correct. There's a difference.
Yebo, ukhona umehluko.
Thank you.
But the circumstances that I'm referring to, the circumstances are not only based on quantities.
Izimo ke lezi azibheki kuphela ubuningi.
There could be other developments or other things in the matter.
Thank you.
Kukhona ezinye izinto ezingaba khona kuleso simo.
So if I use the word circumstances, it should not be interpreted only in terms of the number or the quantities of firearms. There could be other things as well.
Usho ukuthi uma ngikhuluma ke ngezimo singabheki kuphela ubuningi besibhamu kodwa sibheke nokuthi ke khona yini ezinye izinto ezingangena lapho eziyizimo.
You know, Lieutenant Colonel, now you continue to give another explanation. I'm going to ask you, if the view that you are expressing now is a view that is shared by the Forensic Science Laboratory of South Africa, or it's your own personal view? And you are going to tell me about rules and protocols and procedures. And I'm going to request you to bring those rules, which state those exceptions.
The rules can.
You have said they are voluminous. They can be transported here by truck. There's no problem. The question is, the view that you have expressed now, is it your own personal view or it's a view that is also held by the Forensic Science Laboratory of South Africa?
I'm expressing the view based on a particular scenario that was given to me.
Ngikubuzayo kona ukuthi indlela okusetshenzwa ngayo yini National Forensic Laboratory noma ke indlela wena obona ngayo athi silandelela imithetho.
I'm going to proceed. It is so that this court has heard that Mr. Mangena went to Cleveland to collect a firearm, which he ultimately used to do his own testing. But the nub of what he says in his collection of that firearm is the fact that he got that firearm in an open seal bag. Comma, you can respond.
Manje sikhuluma ukuthi ke Lieutenant Colonel Mangena waye eCleveland wayothatha isibhamu. Kodwa ke esibhekisisa kakhulu la kulokhu ukuthi wathola lesi sibhamu sisesikhwameni esingavalisisile.
Do you understand?
Yangizwisisa.
I hear you.
Ngiyakuzwa.
Now, and we're talking about one firearm. Do you understand?
Sikhuluma ngesibhamu esisodwa la angisizwa.
I understand.
Yes.
Normally when firearms are transported, when one firearm is taken to the Forensic Science Laboratory, is it not a protocol that it needs to be in a seal bag
Kanti akuyona yini indlela inqubo ekusetshenziswa ngayo ukuthi uma isibhamu sisuswa siyiswa e-National Forensic Laboratory sifanele sihambe nesikhwama esivalisisayo?
Because these questions are based on the work that was done by Lieutenant Colonel Mangena, not myself.
Yes.
So I do not have all the reasons that Mangena had to take that particular course of action. I do not have the details of what he considered, everything regarding that decision. I do not have access to
I'm
that.
going to tell you the details.
Njengoba-ke lapha ngizophendula umbuzo ukhuluma ngento eyenziwa uMangena, angizazi izathu zonke zokuthi yini indaba wenza ngale ndlela enza ngayo futhi anginayo nemininingwane ukuthi ngingakwazi ukuphendula ephelele.
Thank you. That I understand. But now, the general rule is forensic science laboratory will only accept a firearm that is contained in a sealed bag, not so. That's the general rule.
Manje umthetho ojwayelekile uthi-ke i-National Forensic Laboratory iyamukela imibukiso esesikhwameni ezivalisisiwe.
It's a general rule if we exclude all other circumstances.
Yebo, umthetho olandelwayo uma ukuthi singeke sizinake noma sizibheke zonke ezinye izimo ezingaba khona.
The answer is yes, it is a general rule.
Yes.
Thank you.
Impendulo-ke ukuthi yebo, umthetho ojwayelekile wathi yebo.
Now, this is the background of what you seem to be avoiding. Mr. Mangena went to Cleveland to actually this firearm that he went to fetch from Cleveland is a firearm that one of his colleagues, Rulofs, worked on earlier. And after he conducted his test, he sealed it in a specific sealed bag. And you said immediately after tests are done in a specific firearm, it gets sealed in a sealed bag, not so?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Wena-ke ukuthi lesi sibhamu esikhuluma ngaso sake sasihlolwa warrant officer Rulofs. Uthi-ke wathi meseqeda ukusihlola lesi sibhamu wasesifaka-ke esikhwameni esivalisisekayo.
Now, thank you. Firearm was taken back to where it came from. That is Cleveland Police Station.
Lesi sibhamu-ke sasisiphindiselwa la esasithathwa khona e-Cleveland.
I hear that.
Ngiyakuzwa?
Now there's evidence that was led that firearm was designed for destruction.
Kukhona ubufakazi obulethiwe bokuthi leso sibhamu lesi kwahloswe ukuthi sizoyochithwa noma sizoyodestroy.
But before it could go for destruction, some information emerged that that particular firearm could as well be linked with another sin, which is the case that we're speaking about now.
Kwasekutholakala ukuthi lesi sibhamu lelo kungenzeka ukuthi sake sisetshenziswa nakwenye indawo njengoba sikhona la.
And then Mr. Mangena went there to fetch it.
Hayi ngoba Mangena wasahamba kuyosilanda.
Upon his receipt of the firearm, he realized that that seal bag in which Mr. Rulofs sealed that firearm, the seal was broken.
Wasethola ukuthi lesi sibhamu sasesifakwe esikhwameni lesi uRolofs yena ayazi ukuthi isikhwama esivalisisiwe kodwa thola ukuthi sesivuliwe.
Do you understand the scenario up to that far?
Yes, sesifika la.
Up to this far, I'm following.
Thank you.
Ngiyakulandela.
Thank you, Colonel. Now, there was I think it's Captain Charlie, who was the custodian of those firearms.
Ngicabanga ukuthi khona uCaptain Njalo uyena owayephethe lezi sibhamu.
Now, his testimony is to the effect that yes, he had to follow certain protocols with regard to the destruction of those firearms and all those instructions that he had to comply with. But pertinently, that firearm, in fact, he said he could not have received a firearm that he should have dealt with, which was not in a sealed bag, or the bag of which, the seal of which was broken, despite the fact that that firearm was destined for destruction.
Uthi yena wengeke samukele isibhamu mawukuthi ke lesi sikhwama esasikusona lesi sibhamu sasingavalisesekile noma esithi umlomo walesi sikhwama wawungasavulile.
And his evidence further is to the effect that at all material times when this firearm was in his possession, it was sealed. The bag was sealed.
Uthi ngaso sonke isikhathi isikhwama lesi masezandleni zakhe isikhwama lesi lesi sibhamu esasifakwe kusona sasivalisisiwe.
Now when asked as to how did it then happen that Mangena would come and collect a bag, a firearm that was enclosed in a sealed bag that was broken, he said he could not answer that.
Manje ke uma ngena sakwazanga ukuchaza ukuthi yini indaba yena amukele isibhamu esisesikhwameni esingavalisisiwe.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ngoba, it's not Mr. Mangena who could not explain. It is Mr. Muchali. When asked as to why would then Mr. Mangena state that the firearm that he received at Cleveland was packaged in a broken seal bag.
No, umtshali ke lo obechaza ubephendula ukuthi akazi ukuthi uMangena wayesamukela kanjani isibhamu esisesikhwameni esingavalisisiwe.
But nonetheless, Mr. Mangena took that firearm, took it to the forensic science laboratory and proceeded to conduct his examination.
Nanoma kunjalo ke uMangena wasithatha lesi sibhamu wahamba naso National Forensic Laboratory wafika wayosihlola.
Forensic Science Laboratory South Africa does not accept, and Mr. Mangena is a senior member of the Forensic Science Laboratory, not so?
Futhi ke National Forensic Laboratory ayizamukeli izinto ezingekho ekhwameni ezivalisisiwe. Futhi ke Lieutenant Colonel Mangena omunye wabasebenza kule laboratory abasezingeni eliphezulu akunjalo.
Do you understand up to this far?
I understand.
Yes, you see.
In the circumstances which have just been sketched now, yourself being a member of the Forensic Science Laboratory of South Africa, was procedure followed?
Joba nawe omunye osenza lapha National Forensic Laboratory inqubo ilandelwe yini?
My answer cannot be detached completely from what happened at that time.
Yes.
Cha impendulo yami angeke ichezuke kuloko bese kubekile.
Okay, let us categorize your answer. On the phase of it, prima facie, was procedure followed?
Cha sikhulume nje ukuthi ke uma sesibuka kafushane inqubo ilandele.
The generic procedure in the SAPS was followed.
Kusho ukuthi ke inqubo ejwayelekile siphoyiseni yona ayilandele.
Why I'm saying so is because the firearm, according to information that has just been supplied to me now, Mangena did not just go to the station, took the firearm and left with it.
Ngoba ke kulolwazi lokho esenginikwe lona uMangena akazange aya lapha e-police station wafika nje wathatha isibhamu wahamba.
He booked it at the police station.
Ufike ke wabhalisa ukuthi uyasikhipha.
Which means that he completed the SAP 13 or the exhibit register at that particular station.
Kusho ukuthi ke lapho wagcwalisa SAP 13 noma ke ile register kubhalwa kuyona izinto e-police station.
I can tell you that is not in dispute.
Cha lokho akunampikiswano ngawo.
So I was just explaining regarding the generic police procedure.
Bengisachaza ngemithetho ejwayelekile esiphoyisa.
Not the forensic procedure, the generic police official, the procedure actually that empowers a police official officer to do certain things.
So masakhuluma nje ngenqubo ke gunyaza iphoyisa ukuthi lenze ngendlela ethize.
No, good, you are together there.
Hayi sisonke la.
So in terms of the police protocol, he is entitled, he is able to book it out.
Njengoba ke iphoyisa unemvume ukuthi angasikhipha ngaleyo ndlela.
We together is
However, I'm going to admit that there was a slight deviation from the normal course.
Kodwa ke ngizovuma ukuthi kuqhubeka kwaba khona ukuchezuka kule nqubo ejwayelekile.
With respect to the ordinary forensic science procedure.
Ukuthi ke le inqubo esetshenziswa ku forensic laboratory yona khona la engalandelwanga khona ngendlela ejwayelekile.
Thank you, sir.
That is why I wanted to refer to Mangena's affidavit.
Yikho ke bengifuna ukuthi ngikhulume ngeaffidavit kaMangena.
No, that's not my duty to request you to refer to Mangena's affidavit. He has been there. The state should have requested him to refer to his affidavit.
Cha kona umsebenzi wami ukuthi ngikuthuma ukuthi hambe uyobuka affidavit kaMangena ube khona la umshushisi bekufanele kuyena othi akabheke affidavit yakhe.
I'm happy with your answer though. Thank you.
But I've already indicated that my answer should not be divorced from the circumstances that existed.
Ngithi ke impendulo yami ayingakhishwa kulezi simo zazikhona leso sikhathi.
Which circumstances you do not know?
No, I cannot just give
Ukuthi leso simo nawe awuzazi.
those circumstances are in the affidavit. Some of them are in the affidavit that I've seen yesterday.
Engeke lesi simo ikhona lapha kule affidavit engiyibone iso.
My question is not based on whether circumstances are in the affidavit or not. I'm on a specific point of procedure. And we have stated very well that there was a deviation from the known procedure. It is documented, it is on record. No matter how much you try to justify what happened there, your word that there was a deviation from normal procedure stands. And I'm going to request you, sir, you know, sometimes they say experts are what they are called hired guns. You see, I perceive your responsibilities as standing there as not being a hired gun, not so?
Can I please ask you to say all of that in chunks?
Bit by bit. Thank you. I am saying your answer that there was deviation from the known procedure is already on record.
Impendulo yakho ukuthi ke kube khona uchezuka kule nqubo ejwayelekile sekuqoshiwe.
Now, it doesn't matter how much you try to justify what could have happened in this case because you're not privy to the facts of what happened at Cleveland.
Waye wena ke awukwazi ke ukuthi ungasichazela ukuthi usuke kuloko osekubekiwe ngoba ulwazi lwakho alifinyelele ekutheni ukwazi ukuthi kwenzekani eCleveland.
And my final note on that regard was, I hope you are not there. We are not standing there as a hired gun because in certain circumstances, experts would be referred to what is known as them being hired guns. I perceive your responsibilities as standing there as a responsibility to try and assist the court.
As a good please, my lord. Well, firstly, I think the word hired gun is inappropriate to this witness. It implies something nefarious. This witness is under oath and he's here to assist the court. But secondly, my lord, the witness has given a twofold answer to my learned friends. He said there's a generic procedure in the South African police and that procedure has been complied with. He then said in the forensic world, perhaps there was a slight deviation, and he wanted to refer to the affidavit of Lieutenant Colonel Mangena, but my learned friend seizes that one aspect and doesn't look at the answer of the witness in totality. We submit, my lord, that that's unfair. The witness should be allowed to elaborate on his answer, and my learned friend cannot just seize one aspect of his answer and focus solely on that, my lord. It must be looked to in totality.
Thank you, my lord. Let me quickly respond. The witness is not there to elaborate. He's there to answer my questions. If the state feels the need that there's something that he wants to pursue after my cross-examination, re-examination is still coming.
Are you saying the witness is not allowed to elaborate? This is an expert.
Understand, my lord? I am giving this response.
His profession and knowledge and proficiency
Yes.
entitles him to elaborate. Now you're saying he mustn't elaborate, he must just come and give evidence like me.
My lord, I am saying,
I agree.
I am responding to what my learned colleague from the state is saying, that the witness must elaborate. I am saying he will only elaborate if I request him to elaborate, as I've did earlier on. But for now is to give me direct answers. If the state feels that there's a gap that they want to close subsequent to this cross-examination by requesting him to elaborate, they can do that through re-examination.
General, in this court, if you are asked the question, you are entitled to answer it in the manner you think you should answer it. If that question, that answer is relevant, Mr. MnisI will argue later that your answers were irrelevant. But in this court, no witness should be gagged. No witness should be gagged. If he wants to elaborate, let him elaborate. I don't know what he wants to elaborate and say, but you can't stop him to.
My lord, as I'm saying, I'm responding to the state's objection.
fine.
If the state wants him to elaborate subsequent to issues that have been raised under cross-examination, they will have re-examination where they will request this witness to elaborate. I can also not be gagged, my lord, in the course of my cross-examination.
No, you're not.
Yes.
Obviously not.
Thank you,
And you
my
know
lord.
what? The funny thing is, you are telling this witness that there are certain aspects of the evidence which he's not aware of, which is true.
Yes.
But now he says the affidavit of Mangena was brought to his attention yesterday. Now he wants to elaborate on that aspect, as I understand him, because he has said that generically he has responded to the question. But there are a myriad, which he says, a myriad of exceptions or exceptional circumstances which may color his answer. Am I right, sir?
That is correct, my
Or
lord.
I'm just sitting somewhere.
No, that is correct, my lord.
I'm not
And then,
against.
for instance,
Yes.
then he mentioned one, for instance, aspect which falls under the generic of what normally happens. He says bullets which, for instance, are placed in the IB's center. Some of them come there without being encased in exhibit bags.
No, my lord, I did not ask him about bullets. I've always been referring him to a
No,
to
this is what
firearms.
he's, Mr. May I listen? This
Okay.
is what he says as an expert. He says one of the deviations is bullets which are stored in the IB's center. They are brought in there without being in containers or in evidence bags. Are you not saying that, sir?
I was referring to firearms, my lord.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, firearms. Yeah.
Thank you, my lord. But nonetheless, if the state feels that there is something that they want to clear with this witness, it be Mangena's affidavit or what, the state will have an opportunity to make a follow-up on that when they re-examine this witness. The law is very clear.
Okay, let's proceed, please.
Thank you, my lords. Now, I'm a bit, I need to reshape my mind, my lords. I'm going to request the court to bear with me as I try to reshape my mind. Thank you, sir. Now we sort of had exhausted this Cleveland thing, the bullet thing that was fetched from Cleveland in an open seal bag. Now we are in the premises of the South African Forensic Science Laboratory.
Manje sisemagcekeni e-National Forensic Laboratory.
Now, is it correct that items that get into the Forensic Science Laboratory, the ballistic section thereof, must get in there following a certain protocol?
Manje ke kukhona yini indlela efanele ilandelwe uma ukuthi kukhona izinto ezifanele zingene lapha in-National Forensic Laboratory ngisho ke ziqonde endaweni yokuthi zigcine ku-section ye-ballistic?
That is correct.
Yebo kunjani?
And that protocol is that each item that gets into the premises of the Forensic Science Laboratory needs to be registered with the administrative section thereof, so that it is known at that particular moment that such an exhibit is now within the premises of the Forensic Science Laboratory, not so?
Kuyiqiniso yini ukuthi izinto ezingena lapha e-laboratory zifanele zibhaliswe ne-administration yalapha kwa-National National Forensic Laboratory ukuze kwaziwe ukuthi leyo mbukiso leyo ikhona lapho ngaphakathi kwe-National Forensic Laboratory, akunjalo?
That is correct.
Yebo kunjalo?
Thank you. Now let's go back to the Marikana example. Now, Mr. Peters went to Marikana and collected more than 600 firearms.
Peter sewaya eMarikana wafika walanda izibhamu ezingaphezulu kwamakhulu ayisithupha.
Let's assume more than 600. You might not know the number, but I can tell you it was more than 600.
Nanoma singayizike ukuthi lezi bhamu zazingana kodwa ke asithathe ngokuthi zazingaphezulu kwamakhulu ayisithupha.
But the protocol is, upon his arrival at the Forensic Science Laboratory, he had those firearms registered in terms of the normal protocol, not so?
Kodwa ke uma sefika lapha e-National Forensic Laboratory wafika wazibhalisa lezo sibhamu ngokulandela inqubo ye-laboratory.
That is correct.
Thank you.
But he does not register them one by one.
Kodwa ke ekuzibhaliseni akangazibhalisi ngasinye.
Thank you. But the primary and what do they call it now? The main issue is that upon his arrival there, he registered those exhibits. No?
Kodwa ngingithanda ukuthi wathi umefika lapha wafika waziregister lezi bhamu.
I agree.
Thank you.
Vumelana na?
Why is it so that they should be registered?
Yini ke sifanele ziregister ke lezi bhamu?
So that we could be able to track the movement of evidence through the system.
Ukuze kwazi ukulandelela ukuthi ke ama exhibit lawa ahamba ayephi ngaphansi kwesandla sethu.
Thank you. So that the personnel, that is the guys that are working at the Forensic Science Laboratory, are able to track the movement of those exhibits. Thank you. On that note, I'm going to request the court that we have a short adjournment. I can feel that my throat is getting a little bit dry, so it's going to spoil the occasion, and I don't want it to happen. Thank you, Madam.
It's 11:12, 12 minutes after 11.
All right.